You have a PhD in accounting, and you've had an opportunity of serving as a chief financial officer at many different instances. I wanted to ask you a little bit about your experience in these 40 years and so that you've been doing this, a little bit about the coherence that you've come to realize and achieve in your life. If there is something that could be of benefit to the listeners based on your wisdom and your experience.
Wisdom that I have attained at this age is my ignorance. And I'm saying this in all sincerity, and that is that I wish that little wisdom of not knowing anything, but at the same time understanding or being able to ponder and reflect is what I could have understood 40 years ago. I have about 40 years of experience, a few years as CFO, and most of my life, like 30 years as professor of accounting. But all these years, my life in some ways was compartmentalized. I would go to feasts. Many years I was member of assemblies or committees of different sorts. And I had prayers most mornings that I did not forget. I had time. But in many ways, now that I go back, my life was not as coherent as I wish it was. And I know that it could have been a lot more coherent. So if there's anything I want to leave with the audience is that we are all able, with a little effort, through this path of personal transformation, to make us coherent, no matter what job we had. And so some people say that accounting has to do with numbers and has nothing to do with the spirituality and with personal transformation and all of that. And now that I go back and reflect on it, I see that there's so much in it, even in accounting, in business world, that is connected to personal transformation, is connected to the life that we can lead, to be happy, to be coherent. So I want to spend a couple minutes on this question. We know that in Bahá'í writings, in the Kitab Aqdas, in the most holy book, we have one small passage, and that small passage deals with Allah, the right of God. Now, I went to school for over 10 years in college, and have read many accounting texts, but Baha'u'llah has said it in a concise one paragraph, this idea of right of God, which also explains accounting in the most profound way. In simple words, he basically says that live a life and spend your money, but then try to spend it to try to manage your finances, in effect, in such a way that from your savings you can give 19% of what you save after you pay for your house payment and utilities, everything else, pay 19% as to the fund, as he calls the right of God. When I go back to this, there's so much spiritual principle for personal transformation, because he tells me how to lead my life. He tells me how to spend my money, and he leaves it to me because I'm a child of God. When I get those virtues, then I can, otherwise I can't. He doesn't tell me that calculate this money this way, and that's how much you need to spend, and that's how much you need to make. But he says, from what you make. Basically, what you think is reasonable. Spend reasonable amount. Then save. So saving is a virtue. Saving is a spiritual principle. And then give 19%. And that purifies your money. That purifies your life. So that is also a spiritual path. So I never knew until retirement that my path of business, my path of accounting, is also a spiritual path. And what a beautiful principle it is, because now that is connected to many other things. Then I can also save to give to philanthropy. I can also save to do good on earth. Then I can provide services through the money that I have generated. So all of these things are related. So in my life, I learned a lot of these things gradually. I'm also, maybe I'm a little impatient with myself, but I sort of say, I wish I had learned them much earlier. I could have been a lot more effective. But let me go back to this personal transformation. Another principle of personal transformation is this idea of surrender. Again, in all religious traditions, this idea of surrender is very important. And that to me basically means do not dwell on the past. I'm sorry I have dwelled a little on the past. I should not be sorry for what has happened. I should learn from it. And I should not, although it's good to plan for the future, I should not spend so much time on having anxiety on what the future will do. I have the present. I have to live this life in the present. I have to plan, but I should not worry about the future. So there's this also a principle which is related to business, but also related to life as well. And I also like to leave you with this other idea that that when I go through this path of personal transformation, and also my life, what I have learned from all of these things, I come to the conclusion that we are creatures, and also we are created by God. And also, when we go through this process, we become totally creative. That creativity is from God, and then it's always with us. But then with this going to the path of personal transformation, our creativity can become very much enhanced.
Please share with us, if you may, a little bit about what you see as the vision of the Baha'i faith for the future of mankind.
When we look at this world, and as Shoghi Effendi has told us, the two processes of destruction and construction, regeneration and degeneration, is with us. Sometimes we may become disappointed, but as Baha'is, we are very hopeful, and we know that the beautiful future is in front of us, and we see all these calamities as really a blessing in disguise, because the process of destruction is working to level out this planet for a bright future, and all the signs of that are here. People uh, are becoming less materialistic. Even here, people are walking on the path of the spirituality. People, they may call it different things, but it doesn't matter. If they go exercise, they're becoming more spiritual. If they go and do yoga, they become more spiritual. If they go to a park and walk, they're becoming more spiritual. And if if you're going to a concert and listen to some good music, they're becoming more spiritual. So people are becoming more aware of a balanced life, of a more spiritual life, of not everything is money, not everything is material things, possessions to have. And also people are becoming more aware in the global aspect that we're all interconnected, and that we have to somehow work more diligently for peace and for understanding and for cooperation on the planet Earth. This is the vision of the Baha'i faith, and we are certain that we're getting there.
I hope that many people will be enlightened and gain some wisdom from what they've heard, and I thank you very much for this opportunity. Thank you.